Hey guys, welcome back to the biggest agricultural platform in Namibia known as Nduna Wengombe, which means headman of cattle. My name, of course, is Mitchell Mutumba Simata, aka the Nduna Wengombe. Today, on the 16th of December 2021, I'd love to talk about the cost of farming escalating for producers in Namibia. And this information was sourced from the biggest agricultural magazine in the entire SADC, I believe, which is Farmers Weekly. So let's get into the information. You guys know I'm never writing solo. I got my trusted notebook with my not so flattering handwriting and my research that I have to do on my own. So let's get into this video, guys. The rising inflation rate in Namibia can be partly ascribed to the unpredicted spike in the price of agricultural inputs. Agricultural inputs this year. This was according to Ms. Bertha Injamba, an agricultural economist at the Namibian Agricultural Union. I hope I pronounced the surname right there. The country recorded a 3.6% annual inflation rate for October 2021, up from the 2.3% recorded in October 2022. So the 2 Octobers, it went from 2.3 in October to about 3.6%. So that was the inflation. The rate of inflation was expected to rise further in the fourth quarter of this year due to the increase in the price of fuel, amongst others. So the fuel prices do affect the agricultural production line. We use fuel to plow, because our tractors need fuel. The trucks that transport the food need fuel. Fuel, such as petroleum and diesel, play an important role. The prices of certain agricultural inputs had increased by almost 50% over the past year. The price of urea, for example, increased 48%. 48% from $6.80 in September 2020 to about $10.10 in September 2021. That's the price of urea. It's from the two Septembers, 2020 to 2021. It had gone up from 2020, it was about $6.80. 2021, September 2021, $10.10 in September 2021. While phosphate increased by 45% from $10.10 per kg to about $14.60 during the same period. Given the fact that these two products form an integral part of animal feeds, it makes sense that the inflation shot up as much because the Namibian dollar is linked to the South African rand, and we are extremely vulnerable to international price movement and a weakened rand. I remember one economist once said, if South Africa sneezes, Namibia gets the cold, because our money is interlinked. And that linking sometimes means that if the rand is weakening and is on a sharp downscale drop, we feel it this side. We get affected by it. So this is why Namibians, we take a big interest in the South African economy, whether it's civil unrest, fuel price going up, political instability. It affects us this side, and we do get affected terribly because of how the money is linked together. Continuing, while the agricultural input prices are extremely high worldwide, our situation is made worsened by the fact that a large majority of our inputs are imported from South Africa and subjected to exorbitant transport costs. So, not just is our money linked, we rely on many of our basic inputs, whether it's producing bread or either producing livestock feeds in this case. We rely on most of those raw materials to be brought out from South Africa, whether it's Durban, Cape Town, the Gauteng area. We import most of those things, the yellow maize, the grain that we utilize, the urea and the phosphate we utilize in the production of livestock feed, and that really does hit us. And also the transportation cost, having to bring in a truck, an interlinked truck from South Africa, driving, let's say, from Durban, bringing in phosphate of urea, just that the transportation cost to take it from Durban through all the way to Windhoek, to Namibia, the capital city, Windhoek, where our feed production plant is sitting, adds also to the price of the end product, the bag of lick that you'll be probably purchasing for your cattle, goats, sheep, or pigs, or even chickens. But that also plays a role. Similarly, animal medication cost increased by 11%. Maintenance cost as well as fixed improvements increased by 10%, and feed and supplements increased by 7%. In the third quarter of 2021, so those were the percentages that went up, the medication costs went up. And this could explain why we couldn't find certain medication, particularly one shot ultra. You don't find it in Namibia. We didn't find it at that time when I was looking for it. I think probably it's back in stock, and it's quite expensive. At a point it was like 3,000. It has gone up to about 4,000. No, is it 1,000 something? It went up from maybe, let's say, what was the previous cost of it? Was it 800? It has shot up to about 1,000 something. At one point, it went up to about 4,000. So the cost of medication has gone up. It's gone up by 11%. And you do feed it. I just haven't been to an agricultural retailer in a while to actually look at the price of medication and so forth, and various medication, particularly the ones that are brought in from South Africa, how much they've gone up. Meanwhile, beef cattle prices in Namibia increased 18.68% in the third quarter to an average of about $55.98 per kilogram for mature animals and $38.20 per kilogram for weaners. Sheep increased $21.19. Sheep increased 21.19% to an average of about $66.78 per kilogram for all grades. This all grades of mutton. When looking at the various factors of the different production systems per hectare, cow and weaner and calf production is still the most profitable turnover at about $37.13 per hectare. And I believe this is why many Namibian farmers are mostly livestock farmers. The weaner auction production system has improved, but is still at a negative of about minus $25.87 per hectare. Sheep farming, on the other hand, is doing very well, with an average turnover of about $40.93 per hectare. That is the current in how inflation is affecting us. And it takes me back. The reason why I wanted to do this video, somebody was talking, a young lady was busy asking me, she wants to get back into the farming sector, she wants to get into the farming sector and she wants to do sugarcane production. I said it's a good move, but if you're going to get into the business, just familiarize yourself with the external factors, inflation, pricing, and everything. If you make yourself familiarize yourself with how much a tractor costs, what is the specialized equipment I would probably have to use if I'm going to go into sugarcane production, and how much money will I have to use if I'm trying to generate just a hectare of sugarcane. Because I remember when I did the sugarcane video, where one farmer said just to generate a good hectare of sugarcane, you need about 35 to about 45,000 South African rand, and that could be converted to dollars at probably 35 to about 45,000 Namibian dollars. So these are the external factors that you have to check, and inflation does have a negative effect on the agricultural sector. Also, increasing price of electricity does also affect the agricultural sector, and all this play sometimes positive and negative. In this case, fuel has gone up, and with fuel going up, now what it has done, it has caused a spike in the production cost. Urea, for example, went up. The price of urea went up. The price of phosphate went up. So if the fuel prices continue climbing, it might become very difficult to farm in the long term, particularly those ones that are doing the type of agriculture where you probably have to plant. But they're saying that the livestock business, such as the business of cows, weaners, and calves, that is still being very profitable, and that could explain why many Namibian farmers are mostly getting into the animal husbandry side of business rather than going into the planting side of business, because that one is probably just a bit expensive, and I didn't have information on how much it also how inflation looked like for the horticulture situation with the fuel prices going up. But there were my 2 cents, and the information was contrast to Farmers Weekly and the Namibian Agricultural Union. One of the economists shared the information, and I felt I should talk about that because this is something that we never talk about, how inflation affects the agricultural sector, and we most of the time overlook it. We don't really take it into consideration, or we don't take it to mind. We don't bear it to mind how it also affects how we farm. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, have yourself a good night. Bye for now.